Thank you, Deborah. An individual's success with SMBP depends on getting accurate readings from their blood pressure measurement device. It could be hard for a consumer or clinician to choose or recommend an accurate device. That's where the American Medical Association's US Blood Pressure Validated Device Listing Initiative comes in. Here to tell us about the initiative and how you can use it is Nar Ramkissoon, Senior Manager of Partner Development Strategy and lead for the initiative at the AMA. Nar?
Thanks, John. Our Improving Health Outcomes group at the AMA is committed to preventing cardiovascular disease, particularly focused on improving blood pressure control. And we're working together with our partners, including my fellow speakers and many of you, to accelerate adoption of SMBP. So I want to thank you again at the National Forum for the invitation. As our lead for the US blood pressure validated device listing, I'm excited to talk to you all about what validation means for blood pressure measurement devices, why it is important for SMBP, and hopefully leave a few key takeaways to help you all make validation a priority as we all work together to accelerate SMBP. So let's start with what validation is. Validation means that a manufacturer has taken steps to ensure that their blood pressure devices produce clinically accurate readings. This is why the use of validated devices is specified in the clinical guidelines, scientific statements, and the most recent USPSTF recommendations. Validation is important because physicians and care teams need to be able to trust that readings are accurate, especially those taken outside the office and in a patient's home. This is essential if we're going to move the needle on blood pressure control and get more healthcare organizations to implement SMBP programs. Now, validation is a process. It involves rigorously testing a device according to an internationally accepted validation testing protocol. Essentially, this is a clinical trial where devices need to show a low margin of error to pass, which does sound straightforward, right? Well, there are some challenges. Protocols get updated every few years. Requirements are revised. Some protocols may even get sunset. Only a few of these validation studies ever get published. And sometimes it's not clear if a device that went through the testing is the same one that's available on the market. Another huge issue is that devices should be validated with all cuff sizes that are available for sale, and that may not always be the case and may be hard, if not impossible, to confirm. So, to address these challenges, the AMA convened hypertension and measurement experts to consider all of these factors that impact device accuracy and asked them to develop a set of criteria that can be used to determine if a device can be considered validated. Listed here on this slide are requirements that must be met, which does set a high bar for the industry. Now, you might be wondering how the FDA fits in here. Blood pressure devices go through the FDA 510K clearance process in order to be marketed and sold in the US. It's an expedited path that permits manufacturers to claim that a new device is substantially equivalent to a previously cleared device. The FDA doesn't do testing or review the validation test results as part of clearance. That in depth assessment just isn't within their legislative purview. If a device is FDA cleared, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's been validated. So the VDL criteria includes FDA clearance as a necessary first step, but then builds in additional requirements to help address any uncertainty. And this provides more assurance that blood pressure readings are clinically accurate. Now, the only way to know which devices meet the criteria is to check, which is, of course, a huge effort given the number of devices available on the market today. To tackle this, the AMA enlisted NORC as an independent third party to develop and manage a submission and review process. The independent review committee was then formed to conduct reviews in a standardized, objective way. It's comprised of physicians with extensive hypertension research and measurement expertise. They review documentation on each device submitted by a manufacturer and decide whether it meets the VDL criteria. Again, this is a completely independent process, so the AMA does not play a role in the reviews or the final decisions. And after the committee determines that a device meets the VDL criteria, it gets published on the US Blood Pressure Validated Device Listing, or the VDL. which is the first and only list of its kind in the US, which actually launched in April 2020. So I definitely encourage you all to visit validatebp.org and take a look and hopefully learn a little bit more about the review and submission process there as well. Now, the list has grown significantly in 2 years since launch. Today, there are 47 device models from 13 different manufacturers. There are 6 different device types included. The majority of devices are upper arm home use devices, which are guideline recommended for SMBP. Of those, there are a few models with extra large cups available and connectivity features like Wi Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular. We'd still like to see more options available for devices that have these clinically needed features. Now, we have put together a couple of general flyers for healthcare professionals and patients to learn more about validation and the VDL. These resources are available for use, and we'd be happy to collaborate with anyone on the call today that's interested in distributing these out with some key messaging to hopefully reach a broader audience. And also to help systematize validation as a priority for organizations, the AMA and the American Heart Association developed a template institutional policy to really support procurement for validated devices. It is intended for healthcare organizations and employers to commit to using funds or budget only for validated blood pressure devices, and then working with their partners, vendors, procurement teams to adopt a process that aligns with this policy. This is a template that's also available for anyone that is interested in adopting this policy. And lastly, we want to see the list grow to represent all devices that are validated on the market today and hopefully encourage other manufacturers to get their devices validated. So, if your members have vendors, partners, suppliers that offer blood pressure devices, they can check if the devices are on the VDL, and if not, encourage the manufacturer to submit for review. We welcome all manufacturers to submit, and they can email vdlsubmission@norc.org to get started. So I hope now that you feel that you know enough about validation to be dangerous and to take these actions to help make validation a priority, really ensuring that patients doing SMBP have access to and are using a validated blood pressure device. Thank you.